But allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First up is a public hearing.
Public hearing number one, pursuant to village law, section 5-5083. The Village of Homer Board of Trustees will hold a public hearing to adopt the final budget of the Village of Homer for fiscal year 23-24. Further, monies from special reserve and ARPA funds will be used thusly. Municipal property reserve of $52,913, town of Cortlandville share of Route 11 Linear Park. Recreation reserves of $15,000, softball backstop and fall line. Cemetery reserves of $14,500 for a lawnmower. Machinery reserve of $14,500 for a lawnmower. Fire station reserve of $16,220 for fire station debt payments. ARPA funds of $10,000 in additional funds for softball backstop and foul ball line. Maybe the share screen.
It's making you sign in. So,
Yep.
okay, we'll start with our proposed budget for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. We start right off with the sewer funds. In this fund, the revenue and expenditures is really comparable to last year at $677,220 each. The largest expense is expected to be the wastewater treatment plant, which is projected to be at $348,000. And under the sewer rate, the sewer rents were expected to collect at $580,000 with governmental users, which are town of Cortlandville and the school at $85,500. Again, those are comparable to this year and they're right about what they're going to come. We go on to the water fund next. From this, again, you will see the expenditures and the revenue are close to last year, except the expenditures are a little about 20,000 higher. As you see, we're going to use some reserves. We're planning some water line repairs, and the repairs will be from South Main Street, from the ramp when you get off 81 to the parking lot on Albany Street, and then North Main Street from Factory Brooks Bridge to Braeside. And most of these, the expenses and the revenue are running the program. So our largest expense here is mostly the payroll and the running of the program. And then our largest revenue is the metered water sales for $348,000. We go on to the general fund. And as you see from the graphs here, the governmental expenditures here are the largest in the expenses here. And then it comes down to public safety, transportation, cultural and recreation, home and community, and employee benefits and debt. So in our governmental relation is all the insurances to run everything. It's also the mayor, the trustees, the insurance, the lawyer, the legal, the clerk's office, and everything we do to manage the village. The next one is public safety. And then government also includes the fire station. And public safety is the fire department, fire station, and the dog control. Transportation and streets and lighting. Cultural and recreation is primarily parks and recreation. We also have our awards and celebrations here. Home and community is our cemetery, zoning, planning, and all of our CDBG programs. Any of the programs that we want grant funded are through here. The employee benefits and the debt service, and one of the debt services, to make a nice little point here, that is the final payment in May on the fire truck. So when you come down to revenue, here
None
are
of
the
that, Charlie. I agree.
Would you want a new truck already?
revenue comes in with the largest being real property taxes, and then our sales tax after that. And then our next largest is state and federal aid, because the village is in the middle of projects that are going to be finished next year, or mostly finished. The dam project, there's also Route 11, and there's also the sidewalk. So we'll be doing half the sidewalks next year. And your department will be very busy.
Yes, they will.
Need some big works.
So the total expenditures is $3,788,766. Revenue is anticipated to be $3,660,633. And the difference is coming from reserves and ARPA funds. 10,000 is kind of a conservative number here, because in softball, one of the concerns we have for liability reasons is we need to build a backstop with a foul ball line for the kids that are sitting there waiting to go out. A ball could just suddenly hit them. So the DPW will be building this. We planned 15,000, but in case we run into something, that's the other 10,000. And if that is not used, that is going to go back to the board here to reallocate under some other program with the ARPA funds. Cortlandville gave their match for the Route 11 Linear Park. The $52,913 will be spent this year in rebuilding and building the park and opening it and clearing everything. We have 2 lawnmowers, one for cemetery and one for DPW, coming out of different reserves. We have the 16,220 on the fire station debt, that's the 5 piece that we have. And then, of course, the $15,000 that we had saved for the backstop. So that's coming right out of recreation reserves. And the backstop is also, it's the foul ball line, so it's the fencing and the netting for it. Some other items to note. For fire, the village is continuing purchasing 10 pairs of turnout gear. And depositing $139,000 into reserves, as we've been doing each year, so that when Charlie gets his new fire truck, we will have less to borrow. And again, I mentioned the final debt payment of the fire truck, and the projects taking place throughout the year. As we've already mentioned, the sidewalks, there's also the dam where we earned some grant dollars there. Route 11. Creating the park there, the code book, and the comp plan will be. There's also, you'll see the recreation contracts have continued with the town of Homer and Cortlandville. Beautification funds have been allocated for Main Street and Route 281. CHIP funds will be used solely on doing roads. We won't need to use that on payroll or anything. The actual ones that we do will come out later. And we mentioned the backstop, the mowers, the water lines, and we are going to upgrade in the summer on the water and sewer billing system and the general fund revenue collection, so that we can do e-billing for water and sewer to customers. And we also will be taking online payments for instance building permits. So that will happen in the summer. And then the taxable figures per 1,000 there, you'll see it's pretty comparative. Homer Cortlandville went down slightly, and that's because of the assessment that changed there. Theirs is going to go down 0.134655 and per 1,000, and Homer is going to go up 0.049532. The assessments come from real property, and then you will see the equalization rate. Well, if you look online, our Homer went from 0.91 to 0.84. And so that's something that we were looking at with the assessors. and when the next assessment can be done, and Homer Cortlandville went from, I believe, 0.84 or 5 to, and it is now 0.8. So both of those went down. So that's why Homer Cortland's actually tax rate goes down slightly, while Homer goes up slightly. But our overall tax increase is a 0.05. So do you have any questions?
I don't, fantastic work, Anya, I mean, really great. As usual, very painless. Anyone have any questions?
And I like the idea that we're paying off the fire truck. And I like the idea we have at least 139,000, or it's probably a $700,000 truck. And they have to be for the public replaced every 25 years. Otherwise, you can get sued if the truck doesn't get to the fire. The person whose house is burning or gets hurt can sue the village because you had an old piece of crap truck and it broke or something. So if it's 25 years or newer, if it breaks, well, that's acceptable. But if it's over that, so it's a smart move for the village to put money away. So as much as you think that may be a lot of money, it's not hardly enough. The last truck was 550,000. It's going to be another 5 years. They're going to be at least 700K.
Well, we're
So-
gonna be at 390,000 for the truck replacement next year.
Well, that's good, but it's still a ways from 800,000 or whatever it will cost, right?
Well, the good thing about this, so one, we're not, so for our residents to know, we're trying to get away from bonding as much as possible.
Yeah.
That's why we're being aggressive with the reserves. We really would have gotten rid of, what is that, 50? Which engine is the one that has the bond on it? 502, right? We changed that one out, but because we had the bond on it, we couldn't. So this also gives us more flexibility when it comes time for new trucks, not being beholden to a bondholder. The TAP Fire Department already has a tentative replacement schedule. I know we'll be sitting down with them later to confirm that. So, you know, we got the engines, should be pretty set for a while. Looking at heavy rescue, maybe tankers. But we'll see what the fire department comes up
I
with.
saw 2 immediatelys on there, Charlie. Yeah, that's one too many immediatelys.
The other thing to note is it's not all fire truck replacement. There is also fire truck repair reserves and a pop PP&E equipment reserves.
I think we did a good job on our water redoing the rates when we had our interns working on that. So we're getting more in line for what it costs to what we receive, and we tried to lower it for some small users and then make, you know, so we spread it out a little bit. Hopefully it's more fair. And so anyhow, I think that's more in line because someday we're going to have to replace our sewer lines. They're 70 years old. And so that's and we're gonna work on grants to get money. So, and that's our plan, is to someday in the future, replace our sewer lines, if we're gonna have to. And that's his job to come up with a plan for a 10-year plan.
By tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow morning. It's good, but I mean, well, I'm done.
No, it's okay. There's a public hearing. Any questions, comments from the public?
Tanya, I have a couple of questions. I'm looking through the detail.
Yep.
And over here in the proposed budget change, just looking at page 1, you've got some numbers with 4 asterisks and then a couple more asterisks after it. What do those asterisks mean? There was no footnote.
So it just means it was 0 before.
Oh.
So what happens is that we broke out our accounts more is what it is. So we don't do the 400 only.
Okay.
And so like
Mhm.
mileage is the big one that we've
Okay.
added.
The other question I have is, you're talking reserves. Where do you invest your excess funds
It's
and what kind of rates are we getting?
First National Bank and we get market and then it's first class. They get class. They're called, I think it's called first class.
Oh, the one that we just changed over to?
Yeah, we just added into a new one a couple months ago. And their rates are higher, so we're actually gonna be comparing them at the 6-month period so that we can see if we want to move more over. So our reserves, we moved some reserves that we actually don't touch over to them.
Okay. Those are things that most people don't look at,
Yep.
but I do.
Yeah, trying to maximize the, get that money to work for us a little bit harder.
If you think about it, we only went up less than 0.5%. The town went up 2%, the county went up 2%. I think, given 8.7% inflation, we did a pretty good job for the public. And I don't know, I look at a few of our employees, they haven't come charging in looking for even more money, have they?
Well, no, but a lot of that
I
goes
mean,
more,
we tried to give them a raise.
no, a lot of that goes to our department heads being great stewards of their budgets.
Well, that's true, but I'm just saying, I think we all did a great job.
Just.
Yes.
We actually went up 0.7%.
County.
County.
Oh, the county, okay, percent of my bill, 2%.
Yeah,
Okay.
0.7.
All right, didn't mean to malign you. It's just what I read on my bill, because I gotta pay it then.
Had it with you belong in the county.
They've done so much for us. Bam. No,
So is this where we vote on it?
Anybody else? Once, twice, thrice.
I'll make a motion, we accept the 23-24 budget as written.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, here we go.
Now, before we get into things, we have a new face in the peanut gallery in the crowd, and I'd like her to just introduce herself, and then we can introduce ourselves to her. I already got to see her once at the town meeting,
Oh, okay.
but I
I
sat,
know she is.
I sat in the back, so she didn't see me.
Oh,
I kind of, so, newest reporter, I think, for the Cortland Standard.
Yes, hi, I'm Margaret Malott. I just started last Tuesday. I'm from Kansas, so it was quite the move. But I'm excited to be here. So far, I've really enjoyed my time in the area. I think both Homer and Cortland are just absolutely stunning, and I am very excited to be here. So.
you say that because it's been really mild.
Yeah. We also don't have tornadoes.
We got that going for us.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And you can see who we are, so.
All right, let's get into the meeting proper. First up, approval of the minutes. Who says? What? Oh, we did. We did. Yeah.
I think we got all eyes. I did, made the motion, I seconded. Any discussion on run through it.
Not like you worked out it during.
Yeah.
I don't know why you listened for it. Yeah, no, we did that. All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of December 13th and December 20th as written. I'll second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on. Treasurer's report, authorization of the payment of the bills.
I'll make the motion, we accept the treasurer's bill. I messed it
Come on now, Ed, you got it. You've done this before.
Yeah, I have, and I'm botching it here. But pay the bills as stated there.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, now on to the treasurer's report.
I've been trained, well, Tanya is gonna be out this next week to come in and whatever Dan can't get to on the, we have to deposit all our checks and cash every day because this is the billing season for water. And so somebody has to check it that they've actually been deposited. So somebody has to blah, blah, blah. So what he doesn't do, they're gonna call me and I'll come in and I've been trained on how to check the checks, and I can sign. So she trained me
Yep.
very carefully today. We'll see how well it works.
I have faith in you.
I'll make a motion that we accept the report as written.
I'll second that.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Right. Let's see, next up, cemetery report. I'm not gonna nitpick the language here because it's kind of strange. 4 full bodies, but then 3 other bodies. Okay,
I'll make a motion that we accept the cemetery report as written. Second.
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, all right. Code enforcement reports. A lot of construction the last year.
And I did read in the Homer News, the little note that our codes guy wrote about, having, what was it, contractors? Did you see it?
Oddly, I did not.
I don't know, it must have been in the Homer.
I
News.
must have.
You right?
You know,
It was about the codes and he was talking about construction people that said, hey, I'm gonna get your permit, and then they don't.
oh
And
yeah,
it says, make sure, you actually, come to see me. Cause you could be stuck, with, taking it all out.
yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So well, this guy is, we got a great guy.
Better look at the last Homer piece. I'm in trouble now.
I'll make a motion that we accept the codes report.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, very good.
No dog control period.
No dog control. Oh, well, all right. Good month for dogs.
Yeah.
It's a little early, so since she knows it,
Yeah,
it's probably gonna be in the next monthly, or the next one.
might not be. All right, we'll find out. Next up. DPW.
So are we, taking a lottery for when the ice is gonna be ready?
I don't think so.
For melting next week?
Nights are getting cold, so that's helping, but, and they're talking almost 50 degrees back.
Well, I'm still rooting to get 50 grand from some kind of grant, to make a real chiller, which works at 55 degrees and below. So you could actually have a nice full-size hockey rink from, say, November-ish all the way to April, if we can. But that's my plan. Not to use tax money, by the way, folks.
Well, we can't directly control what the temperature is
I
going
know.
to be for the next few weeks, but I do appreciate the work that the fire department is doing, your department is doing, and everybody else to try to remind people to stay off the ice. We don't want any accidental, ice use to cause more delays, and we certainly don't want to see any vandalism or other hijinks to put us behind. I'm optimistic that it's going to open this month. So thank you for all your continued work on it.
Yes. All right.
I'll make a motion, we accept the DPW report as written.
I'll second it.
Bill, anything you wanted to add or talk about?
That was probably, I guess I was gonna bring up the ice rink.
I was answering emails about it today.
How much did that one thing?
How much does that chilling thing cost?
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah, and it's a air thing, so, and it's portable, it'd be on a trailer. These guys could park it over at DPW during the summer, and it uses that same kind of rollout rink, and it rolls it out. And this would be for a full-size hockey, and you could put in some, either short boards or higher ones,
Right.
and actually play hockey on it if you wanted to. And I like the idea of bringing over Khalil Park, because you could open up the stand. And so we could have like the Boy Scouts or charities or the high school, like on weekends, offer chocolate and that kind of stuff. And it's got a fence, so it could be lit at night and locked up, at 10 o'clock or something, whenever. it could be
I think
closed.
the ice.
But you'd still have the rink on the green, by the way.
Yeah, you got
This would be bonus.
his alarms there.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, moving on. That's all. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty, then, fire departments.
You guys have been busy the past couple of days.
Did you hear the request from Jack Garvey that I
put out at one of the meetings. I went to his house, he was, before he died, obviously. Um, he wanted some new garbage cans, you know, to replace them and stuff, and he wanted to ask the board, and maybe some of you guys remember that, make sure here. He says, hey, if more women might want to join the fire department in the EMS side, if they didn't have to be firemen first, which is what your rules mean, so they don't want to be, you know, throwing somebody over their back and hauling them through a smoke and low crawling and that kind of stuff. That if there could be maybe a minor change, you might get more people that would
We were
do
looking
the
at that,
EMS thing.
but
That was his comment.
with our stuff, you have to take the basic New York State firefighter.
Well, I'm just saying,
Remember?
I know that, and that's what he said. Is there a way to maybe lobby to just allow women to do the EMS portion and not be firemen?
Not sure about that.
Anyhow.
And if we did
wanted
that,
to
we'd
tell
have to make a company.
Yeah.
To accommodate that, because if you just let people come in just be EMS. Pretty soon you're gonna have all EMS and you won't have nobody to fight fires.
I understand. I mean,
It's-
that's just,
We've been tossing it back and
all right,
forth for years.
it's in your ballpark.
It is.
I'm just relaying what Jack asked me to bring up, and so I have.
There you go.
Twice now, so I'm done. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Charlie, anything else about with the fire department?
No, like you said,
Got your floor fixed?
they're working on it.
Oh, it's still.
Got the drain fixed.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's parking lot.
There's some issues with the parking lot. They're working on it.
okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the fire department report as written.
Second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Inspector.
Alrighty,
No fire inspector.
no fire inspector, police departments.
I see that, the police department, assigned it anyhow for the new, strips. The new
Oh,
fire
yeah,
destroyer
yeah.
strips, you know. I guess the last ones, when they used it here a while back, were in pretty bad shape.
They didn't work as well as,
So I know they're pretty expensive actually, but, you know, anyhow. I'll make a motion that we accept the police report as written. Well, I read it.
Email.
It's on mine.
Oh, yeah.
I can go get it.
No, it's all right.
I
I
read
read it on the email. So.
didn't have any-
53 stops, 27 tickets.
Okay, Raymond.
All right, I make a motion that we accept the police department report.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
All right, all set. I'll talk to you guys later.
Hey, can you bring up the other thing so we're not looking at the taxable figures?
No, I haven't happened. Apologies.
No, I like it. It's great numbers, I think.
In case anyone's waiting.
But just in case anybody's trying to get our attention, you know.
All right. Next, recreations.
A lot of refunds.
There was an issue with getting playing time at the school, so it ended up getting only gym time on Saturdays, which is the same time as bowling. So, just something to look at next year earlier and to talk to the school and the bowling, trying to adjust both times so both programs can be done. The other was the ski because, the software inadvertently, it's all school kids, so they're all charged the same. And it inadvertently charged a bunch of them $10 extra for being non-residents.
Gotcha.
Are we gonna need to get,
We need a motion to refunds or just
Yep.
approve the report and that's automatic or?
No,
No,
yeah,
that's it.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the recreation report that's written.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
are we gonna need to get a new rec, some new storage at rec? Seeing that the roof leaks,
Gotta fix the roof,
just
obviously.
maybe. Maybe just get some, re-roof it.
Yeah, I would say that's just a storage shed. That should be easy to put a new roof on.
I'm sure we'll get a
Is it
permit.
metal roof? Or what?
I think it's shingles.
Well, I got a shingle gun with a lot of nails. You can borrow it.
Hey, no big deal. It's just been
All right,
Yeah, you can knock those right out. If you want it, let me know. It sits there. I'm not gonna use it anymore. I'm done broken.
that's what I have.
Okay, so,
We got a motion, we got a second.
We do have a second?
Yeah.
yeah, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And
I'll make a motion that we approve the refunds as listed.
second, discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good. Water and sewer.
I thought the leak was up by the school and not down by the corner.
Which leak you're talking
On
about?
Clinton Street.
I still got one on Fifth Street yet.
Okay, that's the one up by
And
the
that's,
school.
that's one we're gonna do when the next Monday.
Okay, when it blows out, okay. Again, another reason to change our pipes. We got newer pipes, so they're
Well,
not
a lot of,
breaking all
a
of
lot of this that is because of the new pavement. When they went down, they disturbed everything and that's where we're finding, right, Buzz,
Yeah,
is where
the
we're.
trucks rolling over stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it should be down 5 or 6 feet. I mean.
Really?
Vibratory roller.
All that.
Yeah.
32 ton roller with a vibrator.
Oh, okay.
Wow. I see you got to know some new cold patch from Fayetteville, better than the regular cold patch. Where's that? What's the story there? What's that story?
And he can vouch for that. It stays in the hole better. That's all.
No, nobody's in from.
Both bottoms. There.
Yeah, when we get up Fayetteville, it's
Okay.
what the heck are they doing?
Comes in a bag or you dump it in a bag?
No, this is all. It's all.
Oh, so you gotta put it in the shed or something?
Well,
Protect.
we leave it in the truck where it's heated because it's really sticky. If you want to shovel it, it's cold. It doesn't shovel it very good.
Okay.
But it's very high grade stuff. Actually, I think it's better than regular black.
Really? Where, and we were getting stuff from Suco?
Suco.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And see, you had 2 residents who contacted you for help and it turned out they had frozen pipes in their home.
Yes.
Are you seeing much more of that or
No, this is the cold one.
good?
When that happens, do you guys assist them or?
Well, first thing they'll call, they have no water. So we go to check it out. And then we check our end of it. If it's okay, then it's basically it's going someplace on there.
Yeah, we should start reminding residents to leave their faucets open or trickle when it gets cold.
The ones that the rumble cellars or what?
Yeah. Anyways,
I'll make a motion that we accept the water and sewer report.
I'll second it.
discussion? Anything else to add, Buzz?
Just want to add that down here where Kevin Williams' store is.
Uh-huh,
He called today, hearing water.
okay,
And I'm pretty sure it's a service, but we can't shut it off. So that means you got to cut in the sidewalk to get down there to shut it off to see which side it's on.
When are you gonna do that?
Well, I was hoping we'd get through the bad part of the winter first before we tore that apart. But he said it didn't happen until we did the road, so.
cheapers. And is he adamant about getting it done right away?
I don't think he's that adamant about getting
It's
that.
not flowing into a cellar, is it?
No, not yet. He hasn't lost no pressure, so, but we gotta determine whether it's his side or our side.
Yeah. All right. All right,
We've got a motion, yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. Privilege of the floor. I see Fred's on the line. Fred, you there?
He's muted.
There, can you hear me now?
You got you now, Fred.
All right, took me a while to hit the right button. Just to recap our meeting from last week, there was more discussion on billboards. The bridge committee, the the engineers have put the finishing touches on the application for the Wall Street Bridge and sent it to us. We've got a few letters of support to attach to it, but then it will be ready. The deadline is next Friday, the 20th. We are still working on our ethics law. I thought we were going to have it at a place where we could pass it last week, but that didn't happen. And we have a new truck and a new plow that's at the dealer. We're just waiting for the box. But we were able to pay that out of last year's budget to the tune of $248,766. So those are the, the just minor the other things are just the new appointments for the year. But no other major business at this time, Hal.
Appreciate it as always.
And any questions?
I don't have any questions. Anybody have any questions for me? Thanks, Fred.
Well, I sure appreciate being able to come in and tell you what's going on.
I appreciate you doing it.
All right, thanks.
Okay, take care.
Yep.
All right. Old business, new business, district reorg discussion.
Hey. Everybody had their coffee tonight, right? A little dry.
Your handout.
So I know most of you, Kelly Preston, County Legislator, Kathy Bischoff, County Legislator. Welcome. So we are here. This is everything you wanted to know about redistricting, but we're ready to ask. So commission members from the county that were signed by law, our county chairman, Kevin Fitch, the majority leader, George Wagner, minority leader, Bo Harbin. The majority leader, George Wagner, chose a person from his party, so he chose me, lucky me. And the minority leader, Bo Harbin, chose Ms. Bischoff to be on the commission. So we also have 7 members on the advisory board, and your mayor is one of those members. And we're here because by law, we must complete the redistricting maps based on the 2020 federal census. And you can see in the handout that Cortland County's population, no surprise, went down 46,809, which is down 5.12% from the 2010 census 49,336. Now I'm going to emphasize that's the statistics. That's if people did what they were supposed to do and completed the census, and we all know probably that did not happen. As you know, probably read in the paper, Ms. Bischoff and I had a proposal for a 17-member legislative map in the spring. And at the very last minute, the map failed at legislative session. So we felt it was important that commission members go to each town, each village, each municipality to educate everyone. What happened is we had the map, and at the very last hour, Cortlandville, Virgil, Truxton had problems with the map. Please understand, it's give and take everywhere. No one's going to be really happy with what we come up with, but we're doing the best that we can. No one really likes the process, but we have to follow it, and at least everybody's educated. So on the front of your handout, you will see our timeline that Kathy and I are co-chairs, and we came up with a timeline. So we hope to have a number of how many legislators will go forward by the end of this month. The final vote for a map will be at the legislative session on April 27th. So I think we're pretty much in line with that.
Yeah, we're just a little behind on deciding the number of district vote, which we will now do on the 24th of January. And then we
24th
hope
or 31st.
31st, sorry, 31st January. And then we hope to go into the actual map. So we're a little behind, but we'll make it. We'll make hopefully the draft map vote.
And when we came up with this, I didn't know I was gonna be here. We did have Hale as a member. So, and I know that Mr. Plume has been involved with the town, so you went through this presentation. Sorry to do it again. But, you know, we just thought anyone, any town or municipality, if you want us to come, we're coming. Kathy and I have been really pleased at the feedback that we've gotten from the municipalities. And so please, no sudden remarks about the county. We try the best that we can.
That was that.
I know. We do the best that we can.
That's okay.
We get over it.
Oh,
Yeah, we never need it. So going through the pamphlet, the 2020 census results, I've already said, you know, we went down according to the statistics, what people reported back, we dropped in numbers. I don't think that's surprising for anybody.
Nothing new, the whole state.
The whole state.
200,000.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then there is a colored map that shows everybody, the people that responded, I'm gonna put it that way, to the census by municipality. So with, let's see, Village of Homer being 3210.
Pretty close to what we had.
So in what our governor signed in 2021 is legislation to make the process at the legislature to be more fair, to be one person, one vote. Now we have weighted vote, which can be up to what 10% difference in the amount of constituents you represent. It does come into play more often than you would think. In the city of Portland, there's legislators that have what 27-ish, 2,700-ish votes, weighted vote. And then you would have somebody like Mick Eccleston out in Cincinnati and Stolen, and he's about at 3,300. So you can kind of, you know, in your head picture the math. Sometimes it does cause an effect. And our governor said no more of that. One person, one vote. So that's not going to be weighted. So our governor now says 5% is the new requirement of difference that we're going to have in the number of constituents that you have. Redistricting rules. So that's on this page. This is something our prior planning director, Trish Jessett, put together for us based on what the state said. So where we start, what's our rules? We shall be equal in population as is practical. The difference between the most and least populous district shall not exceed 5% of the mean of all districts. And not to be drawn with the intent or result of denying or abridging the equal opportunity of racial or language minority groups, consist of contiguous territory, be as compact in form as practical, not be drawn to discourage competition or to favor or disfavor incumbents or political parties, consider existing district cores, political subdivisions, and communities of interest. This has been a big one. There's more communities of interest in our county than you think. SUNY Cortland, the Amish population in Marathon, the lake section, Little York Lake, out of Homer, repeat. I think, but we do try to keep those parties within a district because they have similar interests. No village or cities or towns except those having more than 40% of a full ratio for each district shall be divided. That's a big one. We're going to get right into that pretty quick. Kathy will go there because she's really good at it. Or be formed so as to promote the orderly and efficient administration of elections. We all know that that can be confusing. Bell Drive is always an example that I use because I did walk with one of the people that was running last time, and I was very surprised to hear that the people on Bell Drive actually vote in Polkville. Okay, So, you know, it's confusing. We have it here in Homer. You go to the fire community building or here,
Here it is.
right? I surmise that someday, hopefully in my lifetime, because I agree with it, we do something that's similar to the early voting that we have now, where it's live ballot. You go in, scan your driver's license, and a ballot is printed right there. Right now, it's 110%, I believe, that all the voting districts have to have on hand. 100% in case everybody shows up, and then 10% more for people that goof up the process. But that's a lot of printing costs. The machines are very expensive, so we got to see if it, you know, what, if there's a balance with the live machines, where they're expensive, but we would pay the printing cost and the poll workers. Hard to get them. So the, let's see.
So we had to adjust a time, which means they really allow you to be much more efficient.
I can see it happening someday, but not in the next 4 years.
Ballot on demand.
So the other thing I want to point out, because people don't really understand this, county legislators have now a 4-year term. So any legislator that's going to choose to run for next year, as we know, petitions will be in March, April. So we're all going to run in the districts we currently have. That's the way it is, because it's 17 map did not go through. And honestly, that is one of the reasons I wanted it to go through, so that everybody was on the same page. They knew their district for the next 4 years, they were going to run. But it failed. So there's no way that there's going to be a map done before then. So anyone that chooses to will run in their current district, minus District 10, as you know, and that is part of the village and part of Homer. So it won't be until 4 years from 2024 that this new districting will take effect, only to have the new census in 2030 come into play. But
So this won't take effect until 2028.
Correct.
now, why this process did not start earlier, we started it, Kathy and I were assigned beginning of 2022. I think the commission got right going. We had a map for presentation. Probably should have been started in 2021, but that's a question that I can't answer. I just know that when I was appointed, Kathy was appointed, we started working on it. So this is, Kathy, you want to take it from here with the issue of this?
So, okay. What I'd like to do is actually start with a map, if that's okay. So that I can show you the existing legislative map. And we'll see this.
Actually, after you show it to us, can we put it in front here so all the people on the
Absolutely.
Where is your camera?
There it is.
Okay, thank you.
All right. How do I do this?
we can get if you get a chair, we can lean up against the chair. Our residents see enough of our faces.
All right,
I don't know.
maybe.
Do you want it in front of the camera?
No, you gotta turn it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, try to be there at the same time. All right. Can you see that? All right, so what I'm trying to show you is that this is the existing map. So right now you have Kyle, Buxton, and Solon, you have the Taylors, Cincy, Willits, 3 towns, you have obviously the Scott Rebels, you have the Virgil Harkers, you have the Marathon of Peters, you have a 3, effectively Clintonville reps, and then you have 3 and 4 Homer reps. Okay. And when we started to go around and talk to everybody, and we've been through all the areas except for this point of the city, which is next week. What we heard is that people wanted to keep pretty much the same. And I began to hear that it was not necessarily a number, as much as it was, we want to be to get with the folks that we're currently with. Okay, we want to make sure our legislative representative is accessible. Okay, someone that we know is gonna come to our meetings and be there for us. Okay, and so that is what we heard in every town meeting except for Virgil. And Virgil said, we don't care if you go down to 7. And what we do not want to lose any territory. In other words, and that gets to the 17 map, and we'll discuss in a minute, but I thought that it's important to remind all of us, this is how the map is currently configured. These are how these blocks are combined. Why is that important? Well, as we said to you, there are 2 rules right now we have to buy. They're the maximum rules. And in fact, it's the rules that have been throwing out maps. So if you look at other county maps that have not been successful, it's where they fail. It's keeping the 5%. So you can't have any less difference, I mean, no difference, between the most populous and the least populous district. For a 17 map, that's 138 people. That's it. For a 15 map, it's 156 people.
What are you talking about?
That's
I'm
it.
confused. What's
So, okay.
56 people?
So between the most populous district and the least populous district.
Yeah, but it still doesn't mean anything.
So it means,
They help 158. Is that's 5% of 2,700?
yeah, that's the 5, we get a 5% on either side. So if you look at the 17 map, okay, and it's 2753 is the median. Typically,
Yeah.
for the model range, okay, so the model range. And what we do is we give you that model range.
I understand where your numbers are coming from, but I don't really see why that's then a reason to go for 17 instead of.
Oh, no, it isn't. So just giving you examples.
Right.
Okay, I'm just trying to give you, this is how the map.
Yeah, just to make.
Yeah, no, I see. it.
Well, I was gonna say, just to make it a point though, is even if we stayed with 17, it's not gonna stay the same it looks now, because it's gotta change.
That's exactly right. That's what happened. But what we're saying is that the range that you have has to kind of rotate around 2753. It can go a little higher, it can go a little lower. So the difference between the least populous district and the most populous district, where you're kind of averaging around 2753, kind of, okay, is about 138 people. For 15, it's 156, and for 13, it's 180. Okay. And you have this in your packet, but I just thought, okay. So that's the first rule, and believe it or not, there actually have been counties who misinterpreted that and thought that it was 5% above the mean and 5% below the mean. It is not.
And what is the mean?
The
Not
mean-
the average. I
And they
know
have
that.
27.5, sorry, 27.53. Okay, for 17.
And what does the mean mean?
It means that you are can
It's
go.
not median, it's not half above, half below.
Yeah, roughly.
Is that what a mean is?
Yeah, but the challenge you have is that it's a ideal figure. So you can go a little higher than that or a little lower than that. You just have to keep it about 138.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, and so you need to be about 2.5% or 2.5% below, above or
Right.
below. Okay,
Yeah.
that's about.
All
what it
right,
is.
so I got the math, okay.
Okay, good. All right. So what has found is that some of the counties have actually misinterpreted that and said it was 5% above and 5% below. And that would come back to the original 10 where we already are. I'm not sure how they did that, but they did. And those maps have been thrown out. The other area where maps have been thrown out is the 40%. So let's get back to the 17 again. And this is an example. Average for a 17 district is about 2753. It's an ideal average, right? You're above or below, it's an ideal average. Okay. So 40% of that is 1,100. Any town district whose population is 1,100 or below and a 17 district map cannot be divided. And for Portland, because we're so small, it means most of our districts. So that when you put together a district map, okay, this cannot be divided. This cannot be divided. This cannot be divided. This cannot be divided. Not this, not this, not this, not this, not this, or not that.
So adding them together means division.
Right. So you have to move them as an entire block.
Now, the governor said 40%.
Correct.
Does the governor know what the hell she's talking about?
Well, that was,
I mean, they were promising a lot for the election, you know, they were kind of busy, I mean,
this
you know,
is,
they got a new legislature, are they gonna work on it?
So if you
'Cause this thing's crazy.
it's possible to do it and stick to their guidelines.
yes,
Okay.
there is. Okay, but the challenges you have when you're putting together a map is that you have to keep all trucks together.
So as soon as she did that just says that person has more power than somebody who has a lot more people in it.
Well,
That's an unequal power distribution of.
no, that's when you get back to the numbers, okay?
Yeah.
So whatever you do, whatever combination of these populations always has to get around at 2753, either 2.5 below or 2.5 above. Let me show you an actual map, because
But then again.
Yeah.
You just said Scott's at 1100, so
Well, no, well, what is Scott's population?
it's 1077.
Yeah,
And then
1077.
Preble's 1350.
That
So
can be the-
Scott, what do you mean? You said
Okay.
you're
No,
under
no, no.
1100, it has to be
Scott's either. Preble can,
Preble County, oh yeah, it
Preble
might,
can.
they could lose a couple hundred people.
they can, yeah, exactly.
Bruxton can, Tyler can.
Right.
Solon can, Taylor can, Cincinnati can, Freetown can.
Yeah.
Marathon by 40,
Yeah,
Willett can, Lapeer can, I mean, they each get a representative.
no, actually, what we're saying is that when you combine them in a district, you can't divide them. They don't each get a representative, but when you're trying to create one legislative district, if you pull them together,
No.
so if you pull Truxton and Kyler together,
Yeah, 1800.
okay, and if you added the existing Solon, which is part of the existing district,
Yeah,
you will exceed the limit for 17 minutes. So this legislative district can no longer exist because you can't take anything away because they're not divisible. You can't take anything away from them because you can't break them up. Okay, so right now, when you look at the existing.
so what does that
legislative
mean? Those guys have one representative for all
map,
three
Yeah,
towns?
it's one representative, right?
And
They-
then it's
one-
up to 17, you think?
Yes,
Okay.
this is one representative, this is one representative, this is one representative, this is one representative.
And you couldn't make it bigger and cut it to 10 or 5?
Well,
Because,
you
you
can
know,
have-
why do we need 17 people anyhow?
okay, so one of the things that we've been talking about is what makes sense for the legislature and the county.
Yeah.
And what we've heard in going to the Scotts and the Prebles and the Truxtons and the Kylers and the Willets and the Cincy's is that they would like it to stay as much as possible as what it is now. That's a like, not necessarily achievable, but it's a like. And they want to be sure that they have a relationship with their legislator because they really like the fact that they come to their meetings and participate. So they don't want something where perhaps the ratio to legislator and people is so large that the legislator is more distant. Now, that's, pretty general comments, but that's kind of where they do. Except for Virgil.
Can you show us how this would compare for Homer with 17 versus 15?
Yes, and actually, I can't forget, really just showed it, yes, I did.
We got 3,200 people, so I don't know.
We're already kind of,
Well,
I don't
okay,
think it against our legislatures.
so, no. So if you look at this other district, the other chart here, it says Cortland County redistricting, municipals meeting 40%. You look at that chart. Okay.
What page is that?
Okay. It's
Oh,
going out
you look at pages.
We serve paper, so we took old ones and kind of.
Right.
Okay, so here you go. Bottom line, you'll see the 17 district, okay?
Yeah.
If you stay at 17, your average is around 2753 per district.
Yeah.
Your median, your 40% or below is 1100. And these are all the towns over here you can divide. Okay, so in other words, you can take territory away. Anything that's not listed here, as I just pointed out to you, must stay intact. If you look at the page beyond that, because this is more handy dandy, it's a type page that I did. Same information, except what I did is I spelled it out there. So I listed all the towns that have to stay intact. Okay, so you know why, at 17. They have to stay intact for 17, 15, 13, 9, all the way down, okay? As you go down, okay, there are some districts that are divisible at the higher level, 17 and 15, that aren't divisible then at a 13 and 11. It would also require you that is. Okay, so Preble at some point is no longer divisible. You can take territory for Preble at the 16, 17, and 15. You can't do it at the 15. So but in most cases, particularly in terms of the village of Homer and Homer, you are divisible pretty much all the way down. Okay, from your size. All right, so is the city of Cork. Okay, so is Cork. No, the Cork. So the Cork. Okay, but the outlying districts are not. All right. So when you try to put a map together, and you're trying to basically taking the large blocks of the Kylas and the Trustees and the Willis, and you try to add them up together, if they exceed the amount as the current district does for the Kyler, Truxton, Solon district, you can't keep that district together anymore. Okay, everyone got that? Okay. So what we did then,
Then besides that,
oh yeah, you got
we have, and that's on your map too. You have the federal census block, so it cannot be split up. Because a lot of people said, well, just take another street and do that. Some people said, well, just go across the street from where you are, or they didn't like that a line might go down the street. I'm like, welcome to my world on Creel Road. I'm in a district, the people across the road are in a different district. That's how it is now.
City to me.
That's how it is now, but we can't help that.
Yeah.
These are the federal census blocks that we are given, and we can't deviate. We can't borrow from part of that to make our numbers come out right.
and we'll show you what that means in just about a second here. So this is the 17 map that we came up with that didn't make it. Okay, and I want to show you just a little bit about what that meant, and I will from this in just a second, but I apologize for those people out there. Okay, so as you see, the original district, right, is the Kyler, Truxton, Solon. That doesn't work anymore in 17. Kyler, Taylor, Solon doesn't, but it needs a little bit more. So you can borrow from Cortland. Okay, because Cortlandville is divisible, right? It can give up territory. Homer is divisible, can give up territory. Preble is divisible, in this map it wasn't, but it can give up territory, okay? So in this 17, Tucson really has little option except to go with Preble or with a large part of it, Homer. Okay? All right. For the original district of Taylor, Cincinnati, Willett, and Freetown, same issue. This exceeds the 17 top range. So it can no longer be part of it, but you still then need to add in order to get within the range. So you have to add borrow some from Virgil. All right. Virgil is an interesting case. And Virgil right now has always been, and I say this since God, with Virgil and Hartford, okay? They are fully intact in the current 17. Well, if you keep Virgil and Hartford together, regardless of any 17 map you do, anyway, you have to take a lot of territory away from Virgil and Hartford in order to make it compliant with the 17, in order for it to fall below, okay, the maximum level for the 17 maps. They were very upset about that. So Cortonville actually, the Cortonville rep, if you will, territory actually come down and just skim the top of Green Pig here. And then, of course, you've got the Freetown, since they Willett would come out and take most of all the Hoxie Gorge and the West River area. Okay, all right. Marathon and Lapeer pretty much stayed the same. In terms of Homer, Homer is currently divided because the village of Homer is too large, it was 17. You can't really keep it together. Except you have to take parts of it away, so you get a very core version of it at a 17. But this map continues that divide, although right now, as you know, you're divided right here. And I think it was around James. Well, James is pretty either. I can't remember. But it was in this area right here. It basically divided the village in half. And it became part of, Cornville, and it became part of, this home district up there.
Did I like it? No, but. There's a lot of people that didn't like it, but we were just trying the best that we could.
Right. So so the challenge with the 5% and 40% regulations is it doesn't lend itself well to a small county with so many districts that are off the table in terms of taking anything around. Because you have to then move large blocks, and anyone who can be divisible really takes a hit. So Cornville, because they're right in the center, because everyone can borrow from them, right? They are at a minimum, any 17 map you do, is at a minimum of 7 or 8 legislative districts that have been in Cornville. So there would have been 7 or 8 legislators who were that portion of Cornville in their district. Okay, they were very upset about that.
I'm sorry, who's the they?
Cornville.
Now, some people said to us, they thought there was too many. And you could go on the flip side, which we really didn't think about. They had 7 or 8 voices really on voting on the legislature that might.
17, I feel like it dilutes our voice.
Yeah, yeah.
And having 17 legislatures for such a small county
Yeah.
means that our local legislatures don't, their votes don't count for as much, which is why I think
It's interesting. to
smaller is
say-
gonna help us.
Yeah, and in fact, we're hearing numbers from the other, they think that having someone, and this is how, that represents them, like the county. Well,
Because it does, when we go big, or when, we choose to go big,
yeah.
it means that these smaller communities have a chance to have a larger voice, but I don't think in the end it helps.
And what came up too, so you got right down this one, town of Truxton, and it goes down to Homer. So what was told to me in the town of, either was it or Truxton, said, do not send me somebody from Homer. And what's been coming up is they don't feel, because where's the vote gonna be?
Because we screwed them in their school.
Right, and
That's
there you go,
that's
right,
political.
right,
Actually,
right, but still,
there's no development going on in Truxton or Kyler or Preble. Or the village, there's gonna be development. The town, there's not a hell of a lot, maybe a
Right.
solar
They-
thing.
they feel that
Who
where's
needs to
their vote gonna be, the big
bring
vote?
them all together? I mean, what's the big deal? What's the county gonna do to help us?
So,
They haven't helped the village that I know.
Now, what do you mean?
And you haven't given us free salt or anything.
Well, I mean, but
I
have,
mean, really, what have you done for Homer?
we just went to
No,
Truxton,
I know you're not rep, but I
right,
mean,
because Truxton came to us. And said on the Morgan Hill. It was a natural disaster
yeah, I
that
know.
they had to fix it. They used all their salt money.
No, I.
They used it all. So they
did.
came to the county and said, can you help? I'll ask you right now.
I would have helped.
But you gotta be, that was a natural disaster. I had been in touch with Mr. Clune. I was very upset with the ARP money when some legislators on the budget and finance were after that money and didn't put that money out to all of us.
right,
That is not right,
I
and it's not gonna happen under my watch. And I led the charge that vote that down. So I went to Mr. Clune and said, I know you guys are working on the linear park, be ready to present something to me. The Parker School, 200,000, that deal fell apart. That's where the 50,000 for the town of Truxton came in. Present, it's gonna be coming on board. I am not in favor of a town because they didn't elect to budget for their roof. To have it come out of the county, they got their own ARP money also. But if there's something, a community event, linear park, to me, awesome.
Everybody's.
Get ready to present it to me.
so, and there will be hopefully more ARP money free up,
Right.
because now that we got the
But
grant.
basically, what you're saying is 17, you can't see a way to do 15, 10, 5,
No.
or
We
any
can
other
do it
number
instead.
except 17,
No.
because of the government said you had to.
And we have to be honest.
Right.
We're saying we can't do
Right.
17. We're saying 17 is tough.
Oh, what are you saying?
But
So we're
please remember that, how is this gonna go through? 17 legislators have to vote for it. So if they don't vote for it, the commission, 5 people
we can put through anything we want. It's
Okay,
gonna
the
be
state will come
the
in and
17
enforce.
legislators that are gonna say yay or nay.
And that's very disappointing to hear, like that they're gonna vote to protect their jobs, rather than just streamline things for our community, to save some money, to, you know, work together to make Portland a better place. I mean, what do the other counties have? Other counties of comparable size to us, do they have 17 legislatures, or are they
No.
going for the
They
same?
also-
Well,
Yeah.
going up and down.
Right, right.
So going back to the reason why we talk about the 17 is actually we want to say, because the 17 creates basically 8 representatives for Courtney Bill, because it really takes a large amount of territory away from Virgil, because it configures some of the districts in a way they don't want to be configured. Honestly, the 17 doesn't work. And that means you're looking at the 15 right there, okay? One of the things that's a priority, and one of the things that was a priority, that was stated, in our value that in the beginning, when we talked about that, was to the degree we can, is to keep the village of Homer whole. And then not to divide it, okay? So that is clearly a priority on the table,
Well,
all right? So that,
As best that we can.
yes, so that is, so whatever we do in terms of going down with a map, which we're gonna decide, hopefully a number on the 31st of January, and then from there, start doing really specific maps. That will be a value for us to consider.
I wouldn't have a problem with the village and the town of Homer all together.
It really, it sounds like the value of
We paid the
17
tax,
is that we already got
40% of
17
the
people
town
who want
tax.
to go back to their jobs, rather than that 17 makes it a better county and provides stronger service to us.
I
The
disagree.
challenge is that
I disagree because you're assuming that everyone's gonna run again. So I don't see that, and it's a job that pays 10,000 a year. We work really hard. We have a lot of committees. If you chair a committee, as I do, and Kathy has, it's not just showing up, as you know, once a month. You're talking to department heads. There's a lot more work to that. So I don't see very few there that are just there for any power or any money. I don't see it. I see a lot of hard workers. Many of the towns have said this is a good legislature that we've got going. We work together, we collaborate. Kathy is one party, I'm another party.
Has
I don't
nothing to
care.
do with it. It's all about potholes. 46,000 people. We aren't talking national abortion or that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
We're talking fixing the roads, making things like.
And it is fine.
Party doesn't need squat, everybody wants you to get elected.
Right. Municipal, we're not village trustees. It's a strange phenomenon we have. We're elected by constituents, but then we're on, there you go, for the county. We make county decisions, not local decisions. Where you all are elected and you make your village decision, ours is, we're kind of at large. Once you're elected, you are at large for the county. We talked about that, maybe having some legislators that are at large. You know, there will be,
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
So Kathy, you were looking at the 17.
Yeah.
You have 15.
we don't have, well, we have 15s that we've looked at as a committee.
Right.
But we haven't picked the number yet, so I'm reluctant to come out and start talking.
You're having a hard time getting people to run at $10,000 a year. Maybe fewer of you and raise the money to 20.
it's
I
possible.
mean, duh. I mean,
I don't know what's gonna happen.
you know, I like you personally, I vote for you, but I don't know what you.
You're in Linda's district.
Linda, okay, I didn't vote for you. You're on my shoe. No, no. I don't mean that. You know that.
Please, you know,
I think maybe a big group, you know, it would work for the whole county. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
we've
I'm
also
just
talked
thinking,
about.
raise the rates, cut the number. That way you can get people who can actually kind of make a living at it, maybe if they have to. Another
I
10.
don't know if you want that. I don't know.
I-
There's no benefit.
I'm not saying one of my other legislators who I did vote for, is doing a whole lot for me in the village though. I don't know what they've done for me. She hasn't been obvious to me. She doesn't come to our meetings.
I have a question, because I'm a little chafed that this won't take effect until 2028.
I know.
Yeah,
And one of the things I just realized is there's no offset elections for legislators. You guys all run at the same time, correct?
Yes,
wow.
So
yes.
can you guys get that to change so you do half every 2 years?
We do have to create a new law so that this won't happen again in 10 years. And we have talked about that. This next legislature might be another one. When I came in, it was, I don't know, 8 newbies. I probably had the most experience being a former government employee and a county employee. But no, that's very important. You could have 8, 10 green people.
So
That's
our,
America though.
once we,
Well, no, because we do
Yeah.
offset elections.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
No, I think
offset.
they should do it,
Yeah.
and they can do a law just like we do.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, you can have it.
Oh,
It's if you want, well, if it won't takes us.
yeah, but the challenge with the district is you can't do it anywhere every 10 years.
I know, but you can do offset.
Huh?
And you can do the offset half and half every
Doing
2
it the
years.
halves and half, yeah.
Yeah, because you just
Half
did
of it
4,
runs, these 4 term and half of it runs,
Yeah.
not something where we've got.
that way you got
4
some,
term,
a little bit of, you know.
Cause that does make a difference.
yeah. And this will have to come, if we change numbers,
Yeah.
it goes to a vote, a
Right.
public vote.
Right.
And it's not,
we
you
voted
can't
for
ask,
4.
you can't ask on the ballot, shall the legislature be 13, 15, or 17? You have to say, shall the legislature say yes or no? Shall the
A specific
legislature
matter.
become, right?
It has to be a very specific matter. Go, everything under 17 will be going to referendum.
Right.
And also at the same time, once we've determined a proposed map, then we have to go to the law that Kelly referenced.
Yeah, this
Okay,
law
how we
sounds
do-
like that needs to be worked
how-
on too.
How do we want to, first, how do we want to do the redistricting process? Right now, it basically is a 5-member legislative committee, that's it. So do we want to do something that's purely resident? Do we want to do a hybrid legislative resident? You know, what are we looking at in terms of redistricting? I could argue, they can argue in both ways, given what I've seen. But, and then look at the law.
And wasn't this a 50-year-old law?
Yes, 50 years.
So if you remember, and I do a little bit, although I was very young. 50 years ago, there was the Board of Supervisors.
Yeah.
And so in their wisdom, and I do believe, I don't know too many supervisors, or I haven't met them because people do say, go back to the Board of Supervisors. My response is, I think you better talk to some of those supervisors before they do that. I don't know if Fred Forbes would be on board. I don't know if Luann Randall, she's another one with a full-time job. So before we make that decision, you better be talking to them. But so that was 50 years ago. We have the county legislators. 10 years ago, they went from 19 to 17. I am all about compromise. I've heard 17, I've heard 13, I've heard 15. I've had constituents tell me compromise, right, go right in the
Well,
middle.
this isn't political, because I don't think you guys are drawing the line. This is
No,
Republican, this is, that, I don't think that has anything to do with
It-
how
it does
this is
not,
redistricted.
And
Oh, I agree.
what happened, we were
It should be
criticized.
easier.
We were actually criticized that we had made the map and it was political.
Really?
Oh, yeah, and if you look at my district, I am a Republican. And the district I sit in is more Democrat and the proposed one. So my statement is, if I was doing that, then I need to take some lessons because I didn't do it correctly.
All right, so what is your recommendation?
Recommendation is to hear what your recommendation is.
I'm gonna take-
Well, I'd like to take it down to like 8 or 10, double your pay, and who cares?
You want to
If
keep
we
it
all-
odd. You don't want for tie votes, you don't want.
Well, make it 9 then. Make it 9, just like the Supreme Court. And that would be fine, and raise your pay so you can actually make a living at it, so you don't have this problem of, hey, this has got to be a lot of work for no pay, and I'm pissed, and I'm not gonna show up tonight. Cause it's snowing and screw you guys, and you're not doing anything for me, so
I
there
think-
it is.
Going with the smaller number would give you more leeway for districts, because it would give you a wider variance to go with. You know, you go with 17, your variance is only 138, you're really, it's tight, but if you go with 13, well, then you got 180 people
Right.
up or down
Yeah,
to
I go
play
even
with.
smaller.
Yeah, yeah, and it gets bigger when you go smaller.
right.
The commission is has agreed, I believe we even voted, if I remember correctly, to go either 13, 15, or 17.
That's where you're on.
At least 13.
Yeah, I want to see 13, even if
Yeah,
it meant
minimum.
carving up the
Even
village again,
less.
I think.
But I think
makes
under,
most better.
you know, on the higher numbers, we're gonna get carved up anyways.
No, you won't.
At 17,
Oh, it's 17 you will.
that's, you know, we're
Yeah.
in, no, so.
I thought you meant higher resident number.
Oh, no.
We gotta keep it compact and, you know, we have worked on a map and we'll say it. There's one that is quite good, I think. We'll see if the other legislators agree, where Homer encompasses the village. So you got the village and then
Myself,
home itself, mostly.
Yeah.
Because, and then around it, the town.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we have to, I'm not gonna say sell it, but we have to present it to the commission, see if they agree.
Right.
And if they agree to have it go forward, then it goes to our county.
right.
So
We need a
what is
majority.
the hang up that you're saying, we want smaller?
And
Who's
we
the
actually-
big group that wants bigger?
It's not bigger, they just want the kind of combination. You just heard it, the Sirloins, I mean.
Right, the outer line.
This really surprised me, I have to say, I honestly thought we were gonna get the Virgil reaction. I mean, because the Virgil reaction was. God bless him.
They don't drink anything.
John Kaminsky said, well, we know you're going to screw us anyhow. So, we started that conversation out there. They want low, but the rest of the group, they really wanted to stay around
Yep.
15, 17 area. They
We
wanted
want to change, and that's what you're saying, you know,
I mean,
that's why people unfortunately stay in abusive relationships. That you
I think
change.
Cornville,
That's what this is. I want.
fine about going down, Cornville's fine about going down.
It's the outer line areas that want it to remain the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, the thing is, even if it stays the same, it's gonna change.
exactly.
Yep.
That's why we went up and gave them an introduction of the 17,000.
They don't want somebody from Homer.
They're still gonna change, so 17 really doesn't work either. with common majority. So that was kind of really been trying to educate people. That the 5% and the 40% really do without a different framework.
Any more comments, questions?
So I hear
Six
you,
would be
Lori.
great. Each corner would be one. Three. All right, the city gets two, Portlandville gets one, there's three.
All right.
4, 5, 6, 7.
We'll take you out to the towns with us. We'll see what the reaction is.
That way you got power. So your one person may not show up to every meeting, but every fourth meeting, so what?
The challenge you have with that is you got a lot, you do have committees and you have. to
Well,
get
and when you hire people and you're paying them pretty good money, I think you're paying them 60,000-70,000 for your, aren't you?
I mean, people.
Yeah.
No, we are the committee.
You got it. No, I
You're talking
meant,
about
I make department heads, why aren't they doing it?
Well, yeah, but you still have to have your various,
Mhm.
you know, policy committees, like your health and human services, like your highway, like, ag planning.
Well, we keep the department heads in check. You've got some department heads here, they dream, they what they want. Would you want them to finalize, or you guys want to vote and say, okay, you can do this? That we're doing the same thing. It's a checks and balance.
Yeah,
that we're doing.
I'm not saying let them run rapid, but
Right.
give them, maybe more to do. If
Well,
you're getting,
My hope is that
run
we're
out
kind
of
of doing
energy.
that more and we're doing.
All right.
Since we have.
I just want fewer.
We didn't have a county.
Fewer.
administrator.
We're not fighting you. We like you guys. Fewer.
I think you made a point telling about the county administrator, that
Yeah.
working with a smaller legislature seems like it's gonna get better information shared, more informed voting, and hopefully, right.
We have a lot in play now.
Yeah.
When I started, we did not have a county administrator, even though the law said we had to. We did not have any in the finances. I would ask questions, get blank looks, no one knew.
Yeah.
So now we have Andrea Herzog, a Homer resident. She is wonderful. She is the finance director.
Don't
Wonderful.
poach ours,
We're trying.
but she's good. I know you tried. We'll do it.
And we do finally have a county administrator, who hopefully doesn't retire. He qualifies, but hopefully we do have a deputy position in play now too, so hopefully we can get somebody so that there is.
All right, so you
Progress.
guys will head back to the legislature
Yep.
and tell them we want 7.
Yeah.
And,
We'll try to accomplish it.
well, it may not go over well, but at least you're.
If the vote fails, we will be back here. We gotta start
Portland
out.
would have 3, I mean, that gives them a lot of power. Out of the 7, Portlandville would have 1, that would be 4,
Yes.
and then 3 others for around the block.
I'm not sure. If but however, as you know, Al and Larry are on the board and is quite, average.
He's a wonderful mayor.
Yes, so he's having. Okay. All right.
Kathy, Kelly, thank you guys. And I would get, well, I'll talk with Linda, but just, you know, I really think the offset, elections need to happen.
That has come up, because even after we get this going, we have to, then part of the commission and the advisory board,
Right.
our duty is to get a new law, because this 50-year-old law is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, but
Thank you, guys.
Thank
you. I did beat you up. Give me
a little bit, but
No, no.
we're gonna call you names.
No.
On our own. We
You took it easy on you.
Yes. Well, he has been for a while, but it's never been reached.
Oh,
Yeah.
So.
The great thing to have.
All right.
thank you.
Here we go. Release the CDBG mortgages for 44 residents, 44.
So these are from 1992 to roughly early 2000s, and they have never been released. The county worked with me, so see, the county does something. I have to tell you. The county worked with me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
county worked with me to come up with an old list. Many municipalities have a list like this. They were really excited that we were gonna release all of these because they are totally done with their CDBG deferment plans, whether it was a grant or a loan. They were done years ago. Releases weren't done, or they were given to borrowers and not turned in. So, this would actually clear up all of ours, most likely. The county thinks it's all of them. And then, after they process them, which I would get them all notarized tomorrow, if approved, then they will come back and let me know if there is any more that they want.
So Kenya, I know you went over this with us a few months ago to let us know that you were working on this list and it was coming. Thank you so much for all your work. I vote
Thank
to release the CDBG mortgages as drafted here for these 44 residents.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty.
The only possibility.
Reapprove encumbrances for the plow truck.
It's not coming into April, so since it's over a year, we just need to reapprove.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we reapprove the encumbrance for the plow truck.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right. Thank you. All right, approved town of Scott fire contracts.
I thought we were gonna have a meeting with him.
Yeah, I know, I'm just playing phone tag, so I'll call them again. So we can postpone it or
I would
whatever.
table, but, or postpone.
Yeah, which one?
I'd like to postpone that until we have our meeting with them.
Very good, makes sense. All right, approve pre-possession of the Little White Church for Center of the Arts.
What exactly does that mean?
Means they can get in there and start doing stuff and working on it, before the closing.
So this is my item. We don't have an agreement yet. What I'd like to guys to vote on is to give me the authority to enter into a pre-possession agreement after I've reviewed it. Well, I'll make sure they have insurance, which is the big thing, and they name us as secondarily insured. But the agreement itself is going to be pretty simple. It's mostly to comply with the grant language that they're working through.
How long do you think this will take, Dante?
I believe their deadline is like very imminent, so I think it's going to come up in the next several days.
Their deadline is January 12th to apply for the grant.
I make a motion that we authorize Dante to enter into a pre-possession agreement with the Center for the Arts for the Little White Church.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Does that work, Dante?
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dante. All right, note that an associate member of the fire department has returned to active status. Very good. We have to do anything?
It's just for the minutes, so that we can see he moved back up for insurances and benefits or anything.
Next, declare DPW material as surplus. So it's this stuff, and then there's the other stuff. Oh, that's it. Okay, so this is different. All right, so this is just the declare these three things as surplus, so they can get rid of them.
I'll make the motion when you accept those three.
Close the concrete forms?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're just back. They're no good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just old. They've done this inside on this.
Yeah, we gotta get more concrete.
Oh, I'll make a motion that we declare the pallet of old shop lights, the three concrete forms in the old white church sign. But I'd also like to declare surplus the frame for the old white church and sign as surplus as well.
Okay.
Because that way we can put that out to bid for auction. To whoever.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Unanimous? All right. I got a little good news. We got a grant. 76,500 to redo our comp plan.
Nice.
I guess we get to thank Dan for that one, right?
If you want to.
If you wrote it. Oh, who wrote that?
Someone wrote it.
Oh. Well, you supervise him, so thank you.
There you go. So we just need to accept the grants.
I'll make a motion that we accept the grant.
Discussion. All in favor?
Nice.
Unanimous, okay. Next up, the payroll calendar needs to be approved.
Makes no sense to me, but I like it.
Well, there's the numbers on the right.
I don't
side.
get
Get paid.
You get the number on the right quarterly yet.
Oh,
There you go.
only 4 numbers. I got
All right, so you made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
You gotta have a little fun here, guys.
Thank you.
All right, approve water and sewer credit request. All right.
Yeah, like a board member. Like it.
Oh, yeah, yep, okay.
I'll make a motion, we do the request for credit. Makes sense. They're off.
Can we do a blanket or do we need to do each one individually?
You can do a blanket, but if you do that,
do
then
it.
Kevin has to abstain
Yeah.
for both. So, or you can do separate.
We'll do a blanket and you can abstain, but I think we.
Yeah, I think
get
we
it
got the
through.
votes here.
I think so. I made the motion.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
With Mr. Slack abstaining.
Kevin,
Just so when Maureen's doing the notes.
Yep,
Thanks, Buzz.
accept winning bid amounts from Auction International. So, yeah, these look pretty decent.
So
I
these
think we paid more, or paid less than that for that van even. So,
It was bought for 8.
for $800. Look at that.
So we made a profit.
A profit now.
Working hard to keep your taxes low.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the bids as
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, you can accept those, Bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Discussion on the joint meeting on the proposed LED sign law.
I keep getting questions of when is it? And are we from the board members of planning and zoning?
Yeah, we have to have a joint meeting.
No,
That's been the issue, trying to get that.
How
and
are
it
they
wasn't
doing?
from the
Does
chair.
anybody-
It
how's the
was
board-
you
how's the
last
planning?
week, it was your
I
member.
think the boards are doing fine. This is to talk about, the new LED sign law.
And then
Yeah, I know.
They've each
a
met.
couple on ZBA.
Oh, they have, so they have an idea what they'd like to do then.
Yeah.
Which I do not.
Right,
And several of them came toward the demo.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like the demo.
So now we're trying to get them all together so they can present to us the issues.
Okay, I'm in with that.
Yeah, so we need to, Dan, can you do a doodle poll? And include all planning, all of zoning and all of the trustees and you and Tanya.
That might go along with when we're all done. One of my questions was, are we ever gonna do a work session? And it would be a perfect time to have them come in.
Well,
A work session maybe on a Saturday or something.
I'll tell you, we're gonna need to do a separate work session to do work, because I bet this discussion will take,
Okay.
This would be a whole thing by itself.
Okay.
it's gonna be a lot to hammer out.
I know I get a lot of comments,
Yeah,
especially the historical district.
no, I know. People have to remember, though, that they can turn around and put in like a, like a Shelley's Donuts sign that's at Burn Dairy. They can put that, something like that at Center for the Arts or at the fire department. That's legally allowed right now. That would be not attractive.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not to give you ideas, Charlie.
Don't go steal it.
No, we want to get out and do some time.
No, I won't.
Do the ladder truck.
I know I get people that say they want to keep it the way it is, that they want it to be historic.
I know
You know,
Victor, what.
There's nothing more historic than a plastic sign with plastic letters.
You know,
Wind blows and go.
Right.
the Cortland Standard had an opinion piece today, because it's also dealing with the town of Homer having to deal with the billboards, and there's differences between the town billboards along 81 and us putting up signs on Main Street.
Yeah, I would say we'll get it there. We just have to come up with, I think everybody wants the same thing. It's just a matter of how we get there. So, all right, and resolution to hold a public hearing on the Homer Fire Department Corporation.
What's that all about? Planning.
Well, listen.
Prick up your ears. Whereas the village board of trustees of the village of Homer has received a written request from the Homer Fire Department, which seeks to be incorporated. And whereas section 404F of the New York State Not-for-Profit Corporation Law requires the approval of the Homer Village Board upon public hearing of Homer Fire Department's application. And whereas based on such request may be in the public interest and a public hearing on the matter should be held for such purposes pursuant to section 404F of the New York State Not-for-Profit Corporation Law. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved that the village board of trustees of the village of Homer shall convene and conduct a public hearing on February 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in Town Hall, 31 North Main Street, Homer, New York, 13077, for the purpose of considering the incorporation of the Homer Fire Department, Inc., and that notice thereof shall be given by the clerk as required by law.
It's required for their tax exempt because they're part of the village to be incorporated. And so they have
Also, they have to be incorporated.
to be incorporated separately that needs the village approval. And that's all the hearings for.
Okay, but we still oversee them, right?
Yep.
We're not
It's
giving up any power.
it's for the tax exempt. Yeah.
And so
Oh, I don't have a problem. I just want them.
they- they can run their own- Yep.
Yeah, I want you to have that tax exempt, so you're legal.
Yep, and then they can
Yeah, all
actually
right.
do fundraising again.
Okay, so this is, okay, this is all part of getting that 503C and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Want to be romantic to have this on Valentine's Day, right?
And why we do that?
So let's romantic.
Because that's our meeting
That's
day.
your-
And that's the normal meeting date. So the lawyer did it for that. So we have to run it next week and the week after. That's my birthday.
I expect you not to come, can you? you should not come to that meeting. You should enjoy your birthday and Valentine's Day. All right, so we do need to vote on this, right? Yes. How about a motion, anyone?
I'll make a motion that we hold a public hearing on the Homer Fire Department Incorporation as outlined in the resolution.
In discussion? I'd just like to say that I don't know why Deputy Mayor Coon chose Valentine's Day.
I didn't know, thanks, I don't need to be.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, very good. Okay, Dante, what do you have for us? Anything?
No, nothing further. Now that the budget is finalized, I think we're gonna be able to move forward a little bit with the White Church. I just haven't wanted to bother Tanya at all. I know she's been super busy the last, 2 months or probably a little bit longer working through that. So that's the next item I really want to push, but we're in the process of it.
Does that land swap need to happen before or after the closing?
It could happen whenever.
Okay,
I don't think it would be a problem for the new owners. We can write it in as like an addendum to the contract if it's particularly important to the Sullivans there, but
well, I think it's gonna be important to this, to the Center for the Arts that it happens.
right, so it's advantageous for them and that it can happen whenever. We can-
Okay, no, let's take it off our plate. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay, comments from board members. Let's start with Elizabeth today. We'll go around the other direction.
I have nothing today, thank you.
Good questioning during.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I've made lots of friends tonight.
I made more.
Don't worry, Ed, I think gotcha.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
You want me to go next?
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of kudos things to throw out. Just what a privilege it was during the winter and the snow driving through the village at Homer. The beautification committee, DPW, anybody that was involved with that, it's beautiful. And speaking of beautification committee, I would like to become more involved with that if I can, if they could inform me of meetings and then so I can give not only input from the 281 corridor, but from a male point of view as well.
You're in. You're in. So I don't know when they meet, but I'll let them know. That should be you and me, and I would love to have you more involved in that.
Very
Yeah.
They were looking for new members too. So
Are they?
They would like to have a time. They were supposed to about a month ago tell us when to have a meeting for that. So we'll
Okay.
should just check back. They're looking for some helpers, some people to be more involved because there's only so many of them when they plan, and so they want more.
So mark me down.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
That's right.
I'd like to put out that to all the veterans, a free veterans counseling forum and workshop for veterans and their spouses is going to be Saturday, January 21st from 11 to 4 at the Marathon American Legion, post 617. Topics will include, but are not limited to health benefits, GI Bill education benefits, death and burial benefits, counseling, listening, a Q&A session for anything else that needs to be covered. Soup and sandwiches will be served. And for information, call the post at 607-849-6724 or email. I'm not going to try to go with that one, but we will post this on the village website.
It's on Facebook already.
And it's already on Facebook. So for all the veterans out there. Second thing was, Fred mentioned that the bridge committee is moving forward on things. I need to talk to some Wall Street residents because we need their input on it. So I'll put that out there now. I'll be making contact with our Wall Street residents. I've already got a hold of the Cortland Housing Authority and we're moving forward with that. So that's looking good.
Excellent.
Did Fred mention the Homer Police Department offices for the basement?
Yeah.
Not today.
He's still working with the architect and Chief Pittman. So they're moving forward on that. And then as we were talking about the Little White Church, the Center for the Arts has done some videos in preparation. So I would recommend everybody go to YouTube and then look up restoration, calling Homer Cultural Center. hit subscribe and like. And this will, especially for those that are interested in like what's going on with it. They will walk you through as what they're doing. And they've got permission to go through, so for anybody legal wise, they've been
Yep.
authorized to do this. But it's almost like this old house, but for this old house, Little White Church. So if you're really interested, and even if you're not, because the more subscribes and the more likes they get, the better it helps with their grant writing and everything else. So it's,
It'd be fun to be able to watch the progress of it as they bring it back.
yes, because it's definitely, it'll give you a foundation, no pun intended, for what the situation is there.
Yeah, the board used to meet under that church way back when. That's where town hall was.
And that's
Underneath it, they lowered it.
the only thing I have.
They higher.
All right.
I got just one quick question for you. Maybe you already did that. We were gonna meet with John Miller. And just,
We're still trying to get that coordinated. Hasn't occurred yet.
okay, maybe I missed it.
No, you didn't, trust me.
I have a question for Mr. Coleman.
Yes, Mr. Pinkbeiner.
When are the seats gonna be put in the bus station?
Seats already in the bus stop.
They are?
Yes.
You can't see it.
Well, that's because it blends.
I guess it
It
does.
blends into the environment.
I didn't see it.
Solar charger there,
Oh,
solar
yeah, I
lights
gotta
are
go
there.
get out my car.
There's even a map there.
Go take a bus ride.
Yeah,
Really? You missed your bus.
actually, what I was thinking,
But you can't see it from the car. I didn't know you had it.
because it goes right,
It must be perfect.
well, our DPW did a great job.
Yes, I did.
What I was thinking though is because we have the map on one side, we've got a blank white piece on the other side. Maybe we can talk to some of the art departments at the either high school or grammar schools and see if we can have a poster contest.
Great
And then we can
idea.
rotate that through. I haven't talked with any of the art teachers yet, but putting it out there now.
What is the content poster? I change the poster every month or
Yep.
something?
Yeah, I love that idea. I love it.
So I got.
All right, Edward.
Again, I'd like to set up a work session, because I think there's things we need to talk about, like the dam removal. And it's coming, but we probably need to, rattle somebody, I don't know what it is. We have a salt head garage door that's about ready to fall off, so we gotta do something so we don't get a PESH or OSHA ding for a salt shed door, and we certainly don't want any of your guys get hurt. Our guys, whatever. So anyhow, we need a work session if we want to.
We were looking at the last week of January, but the project is good because I'm away. You guys had asked me to do it in January. But with me being away to the 18th, it can't be to the last week, and we already have ZBA the Thursday, so the only days are like the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Otherwise, we have to go to February, but you guys had asked me to pick a date in January. And it kind of, me going away, kind of knocked some days out. Not in a bad way, but,
So,
because we were supposed to do like,
all right, let's look down at the.
I'm gonna guess sometime in this month, we might hear from the DRI people too, one way or another.
You never know.
Positive, that means we got work to do. Negative, that means how do we go forward? So we probably either way.
All right, we'll put out a doodle too for the work session.
Could be a Saturday.
It could be,
First buy pizza. There'll be a lot of people coming.
I'm at NICOM. Yeah, all right, we'll get that scheduled. I agree with you.
All right, that's all. Everything's good. Thank you, DPW. Love those lights. I love the way you guys are working, so.
Katie, do we need to approve
You're
your?
a fire department too, by the way. Thank you.
no, that was part of my treasurer's report.
Oh, okay, all right, good. Just making sure. All right, I actually have nothing, this week. And do we need to go to the executive session? We do, okay. Before that, we will take questions from the media. Any
Go for it.
questions? We got 3. I see we got Kevin maybe put some of the questions in the chat there.
No, that's from Dante.
Oh, it's from Dante, okay. Anybody have any questions?
Hey, Hal, I got some questions.
Hit us.
This is about the comprehensive plan. So what exactly is the grant gonna be used for that you guys got for that?
So to redo the comp plan, is, I don't know how many page document it is. It's gotta be over 200.
Well,
It's
yeah,
3/4 of an inch thick.
Yeah, so basically, you know, you have you survey residents, to find out what's important.
Mhm.
There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into producing it, so I think when the village had it done. 2010, I think it was how much?
30 grand.
30 grand in 2010 to do it, so.
Do you guys look to do it, have a new one every about 10 years or so, or what's the? is that-
But
they recommend every 10 to 15 years to
Okay.
redo it.
yeah, and it's important because it's used, you know, for all of the planning and zoning, that work that we do to make sure that projects are consistent with. What the, you know, the wishes of the residents are.
When Burned Area came in to recommend their location there, they used the comp plan and said, hey, here's what it said in the comp plan. So if the comp plan isn't up to date, it can be used either favorably or disfavorably.
Yeah, good
If that's a
point.
word, against the village or for the village. So having it up to date is a good thing to have for the village. So
Yeah,
just renewing it and going over it's smart.
so we'll hire, probably Toma. Or, you know, to help us do that because it's more of an undertaking than we can do ourselves.
And they did the last one.
They did the last one. They did a great job on the last one too.
And the other thing too about the comp plans, we've been knocking out a lot of things that are on the comp plan, so now we have to look forward.
It probably shouldn't be quite as hard to do it again.
Yeah,
You know, the first one was from scratch.
we'll have to find out that we can use some of this money for redoing our zoning because that would be,
Well, that's part of the comp plan,
in a way, yeah.
code books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So are there any personally for you guys, are there any topics or areas you guys are looking to tackle in the new comp plan?
I think, yeah, I think, you know, I think the old one did a really good job with. Talking about what should be happening right around this downtown area.
Mhm.
And it was lacking in what we ought to be doing on 281. And so that's really where I want to see a lot more, is what can we do to bring 281 up in the same level or as close as we can.
And what's the target year or so you guys are looking to have a new comp plan?
Sure.
I'd like to get it done this year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll depend upon what Toma says or whoever we contract with and how long it takes. It's a process. You know, you have to mail out flyers, you have to have meetings, you have to have Don, you were here for the last one. I mean, it was pretty extensive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of the groundwork for this one.
Yep.
It's just getting it into a format that we can present to the public to look at. And for Toma or for the consultant to formalize our suggestions.
Our current one should be on our website, Kevin. If not, we have copies down here if you wanted to come take a look, but it's pretty interesting, pretty informative and it's nice to look at it and see that, you know, we're fairly consistent in following the comp plan and what we do, so.
Great. Yeah, I was actually going to ask.
We're in it.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask if there was a copy on the website.
Yeah, it should be there on the website, yeah. So,
And then one more question. Do you guys have an update on the DRI grant?
no update yet. They have not announced any winners yet.
Okay.
Kevin, would you like me to email it to you? It was too big to upload for our website size last time, so it never got up there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, we can ask Dean to put it up. for
Yeah,
us.
it gives me error.
Yeah, there's probably whatever, you can do it on the back end, so. Yeah. Any other questions, sir?
Nope, I'm all set. Thanks, guys.
All right. Any questions?
How about our new reporter?
I don't have any questions, but I do want to make sure I get photos of the slides from the budget, so that way I know the numbers are correct.
They're up on the website.
Okay, perfect.
So if you go to homerny.org and under government treasurer,
Thank you so much. I
and
appreciate
then,
it.
if you go under the treasurer, they're right there too.
Who gave me their copy? Thank you so much.
Okay, I have another copy with my notes on it, so.
All right, so anything else before we go to the executive session? You guys hung in till the very end. We can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you.
All right, then I'd like a motion.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session at 7:56 PM or 1956 hours for Marine.